My name is Katie Huffmaster.
My name is Logan Clemens.
My name is Garrison Reifin, and I am a sophomore at the College of Coastal Georgia.
My best childhood memory takes place in Jekyll Island. It was when me and my family were riding bikes, and I've never been really good at riding a bike, but at the time I was just learning to ride a bike with no training wheels, and I had a hard time getting up on the bike. I was trying to stand up on the bike by using the pedals, you know, where you place your feet on there and you like lift yourself up. And I did that, and I was wearing a bathing suit, and when I did, the seat of the bike pulled my bathing suit bottoms down, and I was so scared that I couldn't get back on. So I didn't get off the bike or stop. So my butt was hanging out in public, and my dad was laughing so hard that he had to stop riding his bike, and there was like this group of people going by, and everybody was laughing at me. And I know that maybe doesn't qualify as a best childhood memory, but it's the best one that I can think of.
My best childhood memory is learning how to ride a golf cart in a four-wheeler as I was younger, because we stayed in the country, so it was pretty fun.
Probably one of my best childhood memories was when I was in high school and I was in marching band. We competed in a lot of competitions, little festivals that we'd go out to. We went out to Ware County, and we came in second place by 0.5 points in that competition to Effingham County that year, which was a huge deal to us because we had worked so hard on that show. It was just a great year. Me and my best friend, we were hugging on the field afterwards. It was a fantastic moment.
I really loved playing with Barbies. I would like to sit in my room and play with them like by myself. I wasn't really one of those people who wanted to, play with other people with the Barbies, like have somebody talking with me and like talking to each other. I wanted to play by myself, and I had this whole thing going on in my head. I also liked to jump on the trampoline a lot. I also liked to play hide and seek with the boy across the street. He was my age, and we were good friends until he started spitting on me when I would go down the slide in the back of his house.
So I learned how to play basketball at a young age, so I basically played basketball every minute of the day.
I played tons of basketball. I started out in the rec league in my first year. My team sucked. I mean, we just sucked. I think we won like one game that year. It was awful. It was abysmal. And I moved in to a new house. I was in a separate part of the rec league. I think there's like a county and a city maybe. And I got to that league, and for the next 2 years we lost one game. And I was a part of a team with a lot of similar players too. I had a coach, Coach McLeod, who that guy will have my back forever. He called me one of the best defenders he's ever had as a player. He said if I ever need anyone for defense, I'll call him Mike. That's also because I sucked at offense. I couldn't shoot to save my life, but I could steal the ball. I was really good at hounding people on defense.
There have been a lot of embarrassing things that have happened to me, but if I had to single out one, I would say when I was in 5th grade, I was walking down the street with my dad. It was early in the morning, and we were walking down the street because I didn't feel good, and whenever I would walk, it would help my stomach feel better. It's weird. But the guy I had a big crush on lives next door to me, and he and his family were going to school that day, and they were all in his dad's truck, and we were passing by his driveway, and his dad stopped and talked to my dad and everything, and I was standing there and I was so nervous, and I turned around and I just started throwing up like really bad, and all in his driveway. And his dad was like, okay, well, we'll see you later. And then they drove off, and I was so embarrassed because I wasn't wearing pants, and there was a mess, and it was very embarrassing, and the boy never talked to me again. So
my first basketball game, I was shooting a free throw and it was pretty quiet other than the cheerleaders going and like, to throw you off your distraction. So I airballed all my free throws because it was so distracting. And like we didn't even win the game. The score was like 0-1.
One of the embarrassing stories I can think of off the top of my head is I did play football a little bit when I was younger, and I sucked at it. And so I used to play linebacker, and when someone would make the tackle, I'd just jump on top of the pile. I'd never really initiate contact with a lot of people, which is one of my issues when I was younger. That's why I like basketball so much, because it's non-contact. But one of the times I did actually initiate contact with someone and made a pretty nice tackle. I knocked a tooth out of my mouth and had to go crying to the sidelines because I had to get my dad to, it was half hanging out of my mouth and I had to get him to pull it out. It was a really embarrassing moment.
I used to like to go to the Mexican restaurants, and now this was like when I was like 3 or 4. And I would like to take the cheese dip and rub it all over my mouth and then let it dry and then scratch it off with my nails and then eat it. I also liked to do that with McDonald's cheeseburgers. I would scrape the cheese off of the burgers and eat them from underneath my nails. It was really gross.
I sucked my thumb up until like 5th grade. I had to get a retainer with spikes on it. So every time I put my thumb in my mouth, it hurt.
I used to, this isn't necessarily super weird, but one of the weirdest things I did when I was a kid to me was I used to like order pepperoni pizzas, and then I would take off the pepperonis and cheese and make myself eat them separately from the other side of the pizza. I would never eat them together. I could never do that. There was some rule in like I don't know, it's not that weird. It's just like I forced myself to do that. And then I finally ate it together one time. I was like, oh, why did I do that?
The best vacation I have ever taken was when me and my family went to San Diego, and we spent a week there, and it was just one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. It had the prettiest beaches, and my favorite part about it is they have sea lions like everywhere, just laying around. You know, you can interact with them. I mean, you're not really supposed to, but you can. And I mean, it was a wonderful trip, and it was in a really good part of my life too.
My best vacation was on spring break to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, in the mountains. We stayed in a cabin, and it was pretty cold during spring break.
When I was a sophomore in high school, we went to New York City, and it was actually a semester after the band went to New York City, and I wasn't able to go on the trip because my parents had already planned a trip to go to New York City that year. And it was awesome. The city's beautiful. You get to visit where 9/11 happened. You get to visit the World Trade Center Memorial. You go up on the Empire State Building. We got to see the Statue of Liberty. You get to see all that awesome, cool historical stuff. But at the same time, there's tons of shopping centers. You can go to Chinatown and haggle your way for a good price on really cheap items. And I can tell you, I was in a store in Chinatown, and there was a book bag there that I was like, oh man, it's a cheaply made book bag or whatever. But I went up to it, I was like, oh, I kind of want that. But I was like, I can't afford that at $35 or whatever. So I start walking away from the guy, and he starts going, $20? $15? And by the time I got to the exit, it was like $10. And at that point, I was like, if he's willing to sell it for me at like $10, I don't know if I want it. So yeah, that was just a fun vacation. We had a lot of fun down there, and even at the end of it, our flight got canceled because of a thunderstorm, so we had to stay in New York City for an extra day. Oh no! So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and thanks to my grandma, that's the reason we were able to go out there.
Something I would say to my past self is, I know you think you're fat, but you're not. Looking back at my pictures, as a kid, I always thought I was fat, but I realize now that I used to be skinny. Like, I used to look good, and I can't believe I didn't know that, so I would tell my past self, just stop. You look good.
I would say to my past self, you can do anything you put your mind to.
Live out your dreams. I spent way too much time trying to please other people and sticking in programs because I wanted to make other people happy, and I liked doing some of those things, but there were other things that I wanted to do, and one of those things specifically was I love doing band, but I was going to join the football team around midway in about my junior year in high school, and I stopped going to that because I spoke with the band director, and he really pushed me away from that, and a lot of my friends didn't want me to leave the program and stuff like that, but I also had a lot of friends on the football team who said, come on out, we'd really love to have you out there. So, I really wish I didn't have so many regrets from high school and certain things like that.
My awkward middle school relationship was with my very first boyfriend. I had liked him for the longest time, and then finally I grew boobs and he noticed me. So he told me at a junior beta dance that he liked me, so we started dating. But that was the first and last time we'd ever talked, because after that we were both too scared to talk to each other. So he would message me on Facebook every week or so saying I love you, and I would say I love you too. But we never actually talked in person because we were both too embarrassed. And then he got one of his friends to break up with me over Facebook, and I remember I was eating a burrito from Taco Bell and I was crying so hard because my first love broke up with me through another girl. And we never actually had a conversation, so.
Every relationship, because my brother is a year and a half away, we're a year and a half apart, and he always went to my school, so it was weird, because my brother's right there.
One day I will tell my kids stories about my brother Nate and the way that he used to be, because I know by the time I have kids he's going to be completely different. But when we were younger, he used to run around. He didn't like clothes, he didn't like underwear, so he would run around completely naked. He would ride his bike naked around the neighborhood. I mean, he was just so funny, but honestly he was probably the best part about my childhood, because he was so sweet and loving, and I didn't realize it at the time, and I wish I had, but I'm really, really thankful to have him as a brother.
Probably grab bash. Grab bash is pretty, it's other than how stressful the senior year is. So I'll tell my kids about, basically it was your senior year, probably.
I've got lots of stories. One story I tell my kids from my past, I don't know if I actually have a singular one story, but I've got tons of stories from my grandparents and my parents about them persevering, and my mom having a child while she was in college, and then that husband and her breaking up and then marrying my dad, and just kind of the struggles they went through, and how at the end of the day you're going to have struggles in your life, and you got to power through them. And I think there's a lot of examples in my past, and even my parents and my grandparents' past, that I can use it to pass down as lessons to them. Obviously, graduating from the college is a big goal for me, and moving on and doing something in the radio industry. I currently do a lot of sports talk on, I do football games for Glen Academy football on the air every Friday night. I do a coaches show every Sunday night with the Glen Academy coach. I really want to move forward into radio and have a bigger role going forward. So.